Good afternoon, and thanks for joining our Make the Mobile Shift webinar. My name is Jenny Drinker, and I'm the Director of Strategic Alliances here at PeopleMatter. I'll be your moderator today. So before we get started, I just want to cover some basic housekeeping items. First, we welcome your questions throughout the entire webinar. All you need to do is type those questions into the question window on the GoToWebinar control panel and hit submit. We'll get to as many questions as we can during the Q&A session, which will be right after the main presentation. Second, we are recording today's webinar, and we will post it on the PeopleMatter website within the next 24 hours-ish, and so we'll send you an email once it's up. And that way you can watch it again, or you can forward it along to a friend. So without further ado, I want to introduce today's speakers to you. We have DeAnn Scheeler, who is the Director of Human Resources for Bobby and Steve's Auto World. We also have Marc Hinson, Director of Human Resources at the Palm, and our own Ryan Glushkoff, the Director of Product Marketing here at PeopleMatter. So I'll tell you a little bit about each presenter before we get started. DeAnn, since January of 2012, she has served as the Director of Human Resources for Bobby and Steve's. And Bobby and Steve's is an 8-store Minneapolis-based convenience store chain. Previously, DeAnn was a store team leader at Target Corporation, and she was a part of the team there for over 11 years. In her free time, DeAnn enjoys spending time with her 3 children and husband of 9 years. A little bit about Marc. He began working as a dishwasher and bussing tables in high school, and then while in college starting his career, he worked at almost every position in food service. So he's been there and done it for pretty much every position you can imagine. Prior to being the Director of HR for the Palm, he held director-level HR roles for Aimco, Legal Seafoods, and Nordstrom. He also has served on the advisory board for the Educational Foundation of the DC Restaurant Association and the Arlington Soccer Association. And last but not least, Ryan is our Director of Product Marketing here at PeopleMatter. With more than 15 years of software industry experience, Ryan is responsible for defining PeopleMatter's go-to-market strategy and managing our creative services. Despite formal training as a chemical engineer, he stuck to software, luckily for us, and has spent his career working for great companies such as PeopleMatter, Blackbaud, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Capgemini to help them deliver some awesome technology solutions. So with that, I'm going to turn the program over to Ryan Glushkoff. Ryan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Hello, everyone. Happy May 23rd. Since this webinar is being recorded, I would be in deep trouble if I didn't wish my wife of 4 years happy anniversary today. So happy anniversary, honey, and it'll be immortalized forever on our website for you to download later. Anyways, with that, let's get started. All right. So scheduling is absolutely critical to business operations in the service industry. Whether you're in food service, hospitality, or retail, labor is typically anywhere from 20 to 30% of revenue. I've heard varying figures, but that seems to be pretty consistent across the board. And when you don't have control of that amount of money, you're frankly putting your company at risk. The average fast food restaurant, for example, has profits of only about $50,000 to $100,000, and that equals about a margin of about 3.5%. So in the service industry, margins are very, very thin. And when your profit margin is that thin, your margin for error is zero. You really don't have a lot of room to make mistakes. And scheduling, just given the amount of labor dollars that are at play, you've got to make sure you're executing on all cylinders all the time. And like I said, scheduling is hard. I, as a kid, used to love Nintendo, so I love this little graphic that we put together. But this is kind of how I kind of see scheduling in my mind. You've got all these different constraints, whether they're labor laws, forecasting, employee availabilities, personalities, managing costs, different skill levels, tenure levels. All of those different rules and preferences are at play when trying to create the schedule. And your job when creating the schedule is essentially to balance all of those different items and make the line across, make the schedule work. So with all of that, scheduling is actually about to get a little bit harder even. So thanks to the new Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, scheduling is going to get even harder. And this is with the creation of 2 groups within that group called the 29ers and the 49ers. So I'm not going to go into detail on the Affordable Care Act, but just a quick summary, firms that have 50 or more full-time equivalent workers, or FTEs, have to offer health plans to employees who work more than 30 hours a week, hence the name 29ers. So employers that pass the 50 employer threshold and don't offer insurance face a $2,000 penalty for each uncovered worker beyond 30 employees. So by hiring that 50th worker, hence the term 49ers, the firm pays a penalty on the previous 20 as well. So scheduling is really hard, and it's going to get even harder with the Affordable Care Act. So, and then also, because of other federal employment regulations also kick in when a company crosses the 50 worker threshold, employers are actually starting to cap payrolls at 49 full-time workers. These firms have then become known as the 49ers. So businesses that hire young and lower skilled workers are also starting to put a ceiling on the work week of below 30 hours, and these are the 29ers. So part-time workers don't have to be offered insurance under Obamacare. So bottom line is, scheduling is really tough, and it is getting tougher. Now, with all these normal business constraints and the issues, plus the new rules from Obamacare, scheduling is actually a real skill, and it needs to be done correctly. It's not something that your store managers should delegate down the line. In fact, it's a task that you really need to consider getting a professional tool to help you with. And this is why companies like PeopleMatter that offer automated scheduling solutions are in business. So even though your best managers may have trouble with getting the schedule right, software like PeopleMatter can definitely help them. And we're going to show you some of that at the end of this presentation today. Scheduling software augments management skills, but it doesn't replace them, any more than spreadsheet software can replace analytical skills. So it's definitely something, if you're not using an online scheduling tool, it's something you should consider. So with that said, I've prepared 5 easy tips that can help you succeed with scheduling before we hear from our esteemed colleagues from the Palm and Bobby and Steve's Auto World. The first tip is that input is key from all stakeholders, and this includes both employers and employees alike. Employers have to make money, and so do employees. But that's the beautiful thing about working in this great country of ours. Everyone has to make money. So employers need to make sure that they have the right coverage, and the stakes are pretty high with this. So if they don't have the right coverage, employees are upset because there are either too many people working, in which case employees are idle and the company doesn't make money. If not enough people are working, well, employees then become upset because they're overworked, and then the customer experience suffers, which means they won't come back to your business and you may go out of business as a result, and that's not good. Employees, on the other hand, they need hours. They have bills to pay, they have families to support, just like you, the employer, does. So it's important to give employees a say, or they'll hold their lack of involvement against you. And of course, employees can't work all the time, so you need to understand what their limitations are. A good rule of thumb for this is start with their hard constraints. So start with when they can't work. For example, if they have kids and they've got to pick them up from daycare, that's a hard stop that you really can't schedule around or schedule into. And then once you know those hard constraints, you can ask them which parts of the day are better for them. Some people are more available in the mornings, some people are more available in the afternoons, and some people are more available in the evenings. So the bottom line is that if you can show your employees that they actually matter, then they'll do the same for your business, and you'll prosper as a result. So the second tip is making it easy. So regardless of whether you work in retail or food service, creating the schedule just needs to be easy and fast. It can't be a time-consuming exercise. So the more you can use automated scheduling tools to do this, the better. There is a restaurant very near to our office and that I go in frequently for lunch, and I always see the manager sitting in the back booth working on the schedule on a piece of paper. He's got a nice kind of laminated sheet of paper, and he writes it out, and he's there for more than an hour each day, and it always reminds me of, you know, that's the problem that, you know, companies like PeopleMatter with automated scheduling solutions are trying to solve. You know, we can help that individual. So to make it easy, from an employer's perspective, it's important to minimize the time that managers are spending in the back office and get them out in front of the customers. That's really where they belong. So to help them do that, you need to make sure that creating the schedule is quick and easy. All of the information that's needed to do that needs to be available right at their fingertips, and tools like booking time off, copying schedules, using templates can all be very helpful to do that. Every member of the staff should be aware of what they need to do in order to request time off. So otherwise, people will just randomly inundate you with time off requests. You'll have lots of paper requests that you won't be able to track, and things will just get out of control. And I'm going to show you how PeopleMatter system can do this at the end of the presentation today. For employees as well, they need to be able to get their schedule fast and also make changes to the schedule. So when I worked in food service, and it's been several years since I've done that, I would have to go into the restaurant on my day off, walk to the back of the kitchen or into the back office, and check the paper schedule that was pinned to the bulletin board. So that was, or in some cases, I even had to call my manager at the restaurant and find out what my schedule was, and that only annoyed him at the time. So it was just very time-consuming for me as an employee. And then, of course, if I ever had a shift that I couldn't work and I needed to get rid of it and trade it with another one of my peers, it was like playing a game of telephone. And this was, long before everyone had a cell phone, but it was still equally as difficult to get a hold of people. So bottom line is you need to make it easy for employees to get in touch with each other to manage shift changes. So the third tip is mix it up. Variety is the spice of life, and I didn't make that the tip because I thought it would be a little cheesy to use an idiom as one of my tips, but it still is true. Variety is the spice of life. So from an employer's perspective, it's important to find the right fit, and for employees, it's good to vary things up. So employees tend to get bored from doing the same thing every day and working the same shifts. So why not vary things up? There are also those shifts that not every employee wants to work. So as I mentioned earlier, I used to work in food service before my career in software, and those shifts at my well-known fast food restaurant chain that I did a tour of duty at were closing drive-through shifts. No one wanted to work those closing drive-through shifts. So why not split them up, share the wealth, and spread it around? That way no one gets singled out and feels like they always have to work that shift. The benefit of varying shift assignments also is that it gives employees a chance to deal with different situations. Since no two employees are the same, some are type A personalities who can talk to anyone, and some are the strong and silent type, maybe more analytical in nature. Some might be morning people, some might not be. I know I'm not a morning person at all. Some team members might work in different shifts. So the only way to discover these subtleties in your team is to try them out on different shifts and in several different roles. So over time, you as a manager and employee, you'll come to know each employee's strengths and weaknesses, and which will make it easier to create efficient schedules. 4, over-communicate. So the one thing we are not short on in today's society is being able to communicate with one another. The world is definitely over-connected. So to make sure you're taking advantage of this and over-communicating with your employees is very important, especially with something as important as the schedule. The schedule is what's binding your employees to the company. So according to the Pew Research Center, they track this sort of stuff on a regular basis, 80% of American households have access to the internet, and 95% of Americans have a mobile phone. That number is astounding, by the way, if you think about it. And half of those people who do have a mobile phone have a smartphone. So almost everyone is connected. And this number is increasing every day. So to make sure you are sending the schedule to your employees as they want to receive it, you need to make sure you're talking to them on the channels that they're using. So if they have the internet, you need to be putting the schedule online or sending it to them in an email. If they have a mobile phone, you need to make it accessible via their mobile phone, and there's a couple ways to do that. So for employees and employers alike, over-communication reduces the risk of messing up the schedule, either coming in when you don't have to or not coming in when you should. And our fifth tip and final tip is don't overdo it. And you'll notice that the overdo is in quotes. And with that, I'm referring really to overtime and overworking your employees. So you don't want to really do either of those things. So you should only resort to paying your employees overtime when it's absolutely necessary. If you find yourself giving employees overtime on a regular basis, something is clearly amiss. Either you don't have enough people or your scheduling methods need a little refinement. So overtime just doesn't cost you money. It's also a good way to overwork an employee, which employees can take a little bit of that, but there are limitations. Overworked employees don't perform as well as those who have more reasonable schedules. Everyone needs everything in moderation, like my mother always says. So make sure you're scheduling so that everyone has a fair amount of work as well. And that way you're making sure you're treating all of your employees fairly. So before I pass the baton to my esteemed colleagues, I want to tell you a quick story about a conference that I was at last year, where I heard the CEO of Taco Bell, his name is Greg Creed, speak. So he said that in order to focus on the customer, which he was starting to do as the new CEO of Taco Bell, he decided that the best way to do that was to focus on the needs of his employees. He believed and eventually proved that if you take care of the employees, they will in turn take care of the customer for you. And that's actually why scheduling is so important and so critical to an organization. So once an employee has been hired or trained, the only thing connecting you to them on a weekly basis is the schedule. If you can get that right for your employee, it will go a long way in keeping them motivated and engaged in their job. So in terms of how scheduling software helps keep the morale of your employees high. It ensures that your productivity, you're focused on maintaining high productivity of your employees. You have fewer time off arguments, which helps the morale of the individual employees and helps them get along better as a team. You'll have higher profits, and you'll also have higher customer satisfaction. So with that, I'd like to hand the baton over to DeAnn Scheeler, who's the Director of HR from Bobby and Steve's Auto World, a very valued PeopleMatter customer who is using Schedule in the field. DeAnn?
Thank you, Ryan. So as Ryan and Ginny said, I'm the Director of HR at Bobby and Steve's Auto World. I've been here for about 1.5 years now, and I came from Target before that. The Bobby and Steve's Auto World is a company in Minneapolis and St. Paul that is kind of a unique business model in that we have a convenience store, food service, car wash, towing, auto repair, detailing, and we do pickup and delivery, just a lot of different sort of profit centers all together that make us an auto world. So definitely a unique business model. And we've been around since about 1996. When I started in January of last year, we actually did not have any real HR software in place. So one of my priorities in this position was to help simplify HR and communication. That was one of the big gaps that the company had been seeing. And I found PeopleMatter to be a great solution for that. We began using PeopleMatter last fall. We started with the Hire module and then the Learn module, and now have also incorporated the Schedule platform. And all of these have really just revolutionized our communication and HR processes in general. So before PeopleMatter, we had handwritten schedules at most of our locations, which was very cumbersome, very inconsistent. Sometimes it would be out 30 days in advance. Sometimes it would be out a week in advance. And from store to store, we found just a lot of inconsistency, whether it was different stores on different schedules or the day that it was out. Some team members were having advance notice and others weren't. We were having a lot of communication issues between our team members at the stores, just in that, you know, there's a copy of the schedule that's by the register, but then somebody took it and made a copy and they couldn't find it, or someone edited it or make a change and it didn't get communicated to all parties, so someone didn't show up. Just a lot of inconsistent follow-up, and the communication was just really tough for us. Whenever somebody would really do an update to the schedule, it wasn't necessarily communicated across the board. Way too many versions. If someone made a photocopy and took it home or did something along those lines, it just was very difficult to follow up. And then if somebody didn't show up for a shift, or if someone had switched with someone, there wasn't necessarily team member contact information available at all times. So if our bookkeeper wasn't there, for example, or if one of our managers didn't have an updated phone list, we weren't able to contact that person. So it just was really challenging for our managers in the stores. Now, since we've been using the schedule platform, we have, it has been just a major improvement in our stores. We've got no more handwritten schedules. Everything is accessible. I can look at any store. Our district managers can look at any store at any point and be able to see who's working, when they're working, what kinds of you know, payroll expenses and things like that are associated with it. It's just very convenient across the board. Our team communication has improved drastically. You know, most of our team has a smartphone, and with the mobile app, they're able to access their schedule. They're able to see the roster of who's working with them. They can do shift offer requests. They can do time off requests. There are multiple just different avenues where team members can communicate with one another. They can communicate with their leader. Just really has improved our communication across the board. For me, there's a lot more accountability in publishing the schedule on time because we are able to be consistent. We have a Thursday due date, so we have at least a 10-day out schedule at all of our stores, and I'm able to track that and see that our stores are doing that, which is great to know that a team member at store A is getting a consistent experience as a team member at store B or so on and so forth. Also, because the platform is integrated with Hire and Learn, whenever we have a new team member start, they're automatically going into our schedule system, and they're able to, our managers are able to see the hire date right away, so they start them on their first available time. Their availabilities are automatically updated from what they do in their application process. So it's just seamless, really, for our managers to be able to have an efficient process with our new hires. Our owners really appreciate the financial accountability in terms of knowing how many hours we're scheduling, knowing the cost of our labor, and being able to track and follow up on overtime. We're able to, one of the interesting benefits that we found is that, across stores, we have some stores that are very similar in volume or operate on, very similar structures. And we're able to take stores that are really successful and find out what they're doing with that schedule to really provide the best service to our customers. And we can leverage that in some of our other buildings and kind of share the secret. There's no more having to reinvent the wheel. We can really collaborate and work together, in terms of having an efficient schedule at all times. And then we're actually spending a lot less time writing our schedules because there's a template feature where we can use the same set of hours or team members that we want to use on a repeated basis. We can also copy schedules. So if we have a town festival or something like that that happens on an annual basis, we can save that schedule and then use it for the following year or make tweaks to it based on that. So the return on investment that we've seen, we haven't been using it for that long to really be able to give hard financial figures, but immediately upon using it, we noticed an improved ability to compare our scheduling costs from store to store. If we have one manager who's struggling with how to really utilize the team members that they have and make sure that they have the most efficient possible schedule, they can reach out to one of their peers and see what they're doing that's working. That was an instant benefit that we found. We've also, as a leadership team, been able to plan, to forecast, to track our payroll much more proactively than we had in the past. Before it was always, looking at the report after the fact and saying, what can we do differently? Well, now we can say, we're expecting this kind of sales. We can coordinate our payroll forecast to go along with that. The PeopleMatter system is just great as far as that goes, and it's just not a lot of work to update that because it's integrated with hire. So every time we hire somebody, it's automatically in there, which is great. We've also seen a big reduction in the average time it takes to make schedules because, as I mentioned earlier, we have multiple different profit centers. We've got multiple department leaders and multiple schedule writers. Well, now they're able to coordinate, when they're going to copy or create move the template onto the next week. And when they do that, we're seeing, it used to be about 5 hours per store per week, and now we're seeing 2 hours or less at each store, just because of, we can see what works, and we're improving that every week and able to really, continue on the things that we're learning with just making small changes each week. So the PeopleMatter system has just been wonderful for us in terms of efficiency, and bettering our communication, and helping us be more profitable as an organization. And the PeopleMatter team have just been great to work with. If ever there's a concern or a question, they're so quick to respond. And they've got a support portal where you can chat, you can call them, you can email them, and they respond so quickly. So they've just been wonderful to work with and made this transition really easy for us and really helped enhance our business overall. So having said that, I'm going to turn it over to Marc Hinson from the Palm Restaurant. Marc?
Thank you, DeAnn. So my name is Marc Hinson. I'm the Director of HR for the Palm Restaurant Group, and I've been with the Palm for almost 2 years now. The Palm itself, though, has been around for 87 years. The original Palm Restaurant opened up in New York in 1926, and our concept is the original classic steakhouse. So we're considered fine dining with prime beef and outstanding food. We have over 1,500 employees at this point. We're opening up a new restaurant in Houston in about a month, which will take us well over 1,600. And we've been using PeopleMatter for about a year now. And over the course of the year, we've onboarded and hired close to 500 new team members in the system. Prior to PeopleMatter, we used traditional handwritten schedules traditional handwritten new hire paperwork, and using the hire system, that's enabled us to make sure that we have accurate information. And then we also use sort of old school Excel spreadsheets for our scheduling. And the schedule would be generated once a week and then posted in the back hallway. We also used a request off book, which basically was a spiral down notebook, and employees would come in and ask for the book and fill it out, and it became cumbersome and sometimes would get lost, and people's request off would get lost. We also had a handful of units that were using a web-based scheduling program. I think that we had 2 that were on ScheduleFly. So we're familiar with online scheduling. However, it was a one-off product. It wasn't connected to anything else, and that was something that PeopleMatter afforded us, was the ability to have this sort of full life cycle talent management system. So now that we're on PeopleMatter, I have that. I have a full talent system that provides us with, we use hire, schedule, and we're moving towards the e-learning system, Learn. We found that just like with DeAnn's company, it's really improved our communication with our employees, and that's really critical with today's emerging workforce, the millennials, Generation Y. They're also connected to their phones and to their devices, that to be able to see this information come across their phone, that enables us to engage them in a entirely different way. So, we no longer have to communicate or manage the communication schedule. There's no more phone calls to the office, you know, the constant interruptions of people wanting to know their schedule, what time they're supposed to come in, or asking for a coworker's phone number so they can try to get their shifts covered. So that's been really helpful for our operators as well. And then in terms of, you know, how this has improved our business and the return on our investment, it really has been extraordinary. You know, the ability to be more modern and then attract a more modern workforce is something that we're really interested in, and this has helped us in a huge way. And that really starts from day one now. From the moment they apply for a job, they have to apply through our career site, which takes them into the PeopleMatter platform. We no longer have to hand out a paper application or try to keep track of those. And that's what the, you know, the new young workforce is really looking for. And again, you know, much better communication in the field. You know, we're less likely to miss something, less likely to make a mistake. And it kind of eliminates the excuses that employees may have regarding what time they're supposed to come in or if they were supposed to work, because we know that if they have their phone that they receive the information. You know, the biggest, and probably the biggest piece for me personally, is the fact that there's a lot of transparency now within the organization, because I can go in and I can see schedules for every single one of our restaurants. It's online, and I can pull that up and make sure that our managers are scheduling the appropriate amount of people at the right times, that they're being cost conscious, not scheduling overtime or very little, if at any. We also have labor targets, percentages that they are budgeted, and we're able to monitor that at a high level. And we don't have to ask them to send it to us. It's there. We can just go in and look at it at any point. So that's been massive for us. And there's just a lot less paperwork overall with the PeopleMatter platform across the board. The fact that we can onboard employees electronically, they get loaded into the system automatically, and then we can start scheduling. Just like DeAnn said, that's such a blessing for our managers and our operators. They don't have to go to two different places to do two different things. It's all in one place. It's really a one-stop shop for us. So that's all I have for now. I will be available for questions later on, and I'm going to hand it back over to Ryan, who I think is going to he's going to prep you for a demonstration.
Thank you very much, Mark. Yes, that is true. There's no substitute for actually seeing it in action. So just a brief overview of PeopleMatter Schedule. So Schedule is designed to optimize coverage and communicate schedules. And there are really three main feature sets of PeopleMatter Schedule. The first is building schedules, and we want to do this as efficiently as possible for the managers. And we also want to make sure that the top brass in the company make sure that those shifts are optimized. Second feature is really making sure that this schedule, once created and published, is shared and gets into the hands of the employees so that they know when they have to work. And this can be done in really 4 different methods. You can view it on the web. You can have it sent via email to you. There is a free app for your smartphone, as well as a voice-activated alternative for those people who have a phone, but it may not be a smartphone. And third major feature set is being able to control the schedule. So everyone knows that once you create a schedule, it doesn't always get executed according to the original plan. So you got to be able to make changes to shifts and as well as optimize coverage as you see the volumes develop throughout the week in your location. So with that, I'm going to show you a few quick but important features of PeopleMatter Schedule. If you do want to see more of the features, you can do one of two things. You can go to peoplematter.com and click on the top button on the home page. It says Take the Tour. You might even recognize the voice on some of those videos. You can also click Chat with us on our website, and we'll be happy to set up some time to give you a deeper demonstration of PeopleMatter Schedule for anything that you want to see but you're not going to see here today. So now, since this webinar is about making the mobile shift, we are going to start off with showing you PeopleMatter's free mobile app. So I'm just going to log out of the PowerPoint presentation here for a moment and show you the PeopleMatter app. So I am currently logged in as Liz Warren. Liz Warren is both a manager an employee of the James Island location of Ultra Cafe. So when PeopleMatter places a great deal of importance on communication between employees and managers. So employees are able to get their schedule via one of four channels, like I mentioned before: email, browser on the web, voice-activated assistant, or the free mobile app. So PeopleMatter has one mobile app, which is free for download on both iTunes and iOS devices and Google Play for Android. It's also important to mention that it's one app, both for the managers and the employees. So Liz, being a manager and an employee at the James Island location, can toggle to see her experience as an employee and toggle to see her experience as a manager. So we're going to start off with showing Liz as an employee. So I'm going to click on My Schedule here, and you can see on this front page what her schedule is for the upcoming week, the day of the week, and also the role that she is performing during that shift, as well as the times in which she is working as well. And you can also see that there is an available shift for her to pick up on Saturday. And and if she would want to take advantage of that, she is able to directly from the mobile app. Liz is also able to see important messages from her manager. So some guy named Ryan Glushkoff sent her a nice note and said, "Try and smile today for customers, it's raining." Or we sent her a note a couple weeks ago about Happy Earth Day and letting her know about a promotion in the stores as well. You can also click on time off requests and see any time off requests that she has made as well. So in this case, she has requested Tuesday, May 28th off, and also Sunday, June 23rd. And you can click on that request and see additional details. So on this day, she's got a hair appointment that she would like to attend. And you can also see notifications from management. So for example, if Liz's time off requests were approved by her superiors, she would receive a notification on this screen. We currently don't have any notifications there, but if her manager were to approve her time off request, it would show up on notifications. So as you can see, it's a very clean experience for the employees. So now let's toggle to Liz's experience as a manager for her James Island location. So it's very easy to change the experience. And we're going to start by clicking on Contacts. So here, Liz can view all of the contacts from her location. So this is really cool because this means that she, as a manager, doesn't have to input all of her team members in her phone as separate contacts. She can have access to the latest and greatest And it is up to Liz now to either approve or deny this shift request. So we know that Bruce is a level 3 employee, Jim is a level 3 employee, so it seems like a fair, a good trade. So I know that the quality of Liz knows that the quality of her customer service at the restaurant will remain intact. So that's a good thing. Then, in addition to shift offers, Liz can also view all of the time off requests for all of her employees at that location. So, for example, shift offers that have been made show up and approved already show up with a green check mark, and all of these are time off requests that are coming in the future so that I know which employees have time off that are coming. And then for shift offers that have not yet been approved, they have a yellow question mark. So I can click on Richard's time off request here. I can see his additional requests that he's made in the past to see if he's been requesting a lot of time off recently, and I can go ahead and approve that time off request. And I can write him a note and say, of course, you earned it. And click approve, and it sends it into the system. So Richard now has that day booked off, July 11th. So that is a good overview of the PeopleMatter mobile app, which again I mentioned is free, which is great because you never want to burden your employees with paying additional out-of-pocket fees for something that they need for work. So with that, we're going to log into the web experience for PeopleMatter. So we're going to log in as Liz again. And we're going to start off with Liz in the employee view. So we're going to click down to the employee view. As you can see, there are two views for Liz because she is a manager at the James Island location. So she can either view it as an administrator, which is her manager role, and we'll get to that in a minute, or her employee view. So we're going to start with Liz as an employee. And we're going to click to the Schedule tab. And as you can see, Liz can see her schedule for the upcoming week, very similar as to how she could view it inside the mobile app. PeopleMatter's goal is to make the experience between the different channels as similar as possible, so there is a lot of similarity between what you can do in the mobile app and what you can do in the browser. Liz can see which days she is working, at which location, and in which role, and at which time. She can also see the total number of hours scheduled in the top right-hand corner. And as well, she can see the details of any shift if she clicks on the details. So she can click on today's shift, the Thursday shift, and see who she is working with, who people in other roles are working, and which is all very important information. She can also see that there is an available shift to pick up on Saturday from Bob Dorsch, who is a colleague of hers. And she can then say she will work that day. And she can say, I'll do it. So all very easily done from the web interface of PeopleMatter schedule. So with that, then we'll also click back and show Liz's view online as a manager of the James Island location. So I'm going to click back to the Schedule tab. And Liz can, we're going to click into the James Island location, and Liz can view schedules in either a day or a week view in PeopleMatter. So we'll start by looking at the week view. So in the week view, schedules can be sorted by the organizational structure of the company. So if your company has different units, different departments, different areas within a single unit, all of that organizational structure can be reflected in PeopleMatter. So for example, restaurants are frequently organized as front of house and back of house. Those delineations can be made inside PeopleMatter. Grocery stores may have the meat section, the dairy section, the fruit and vegetable section. Those can be shown in PeopleMatter very, very easily. And as of course, you can sort by those locations, and you can also sort by the jobs that are on the schedule. The overall schedule shows the total number of managerial hours for the week. So here we see is 68 manager hours are being worked this week, as well as the total number of hours being worked on the schedule, 337, and also an estimated cost of what those hours are costing in terms of labor to the organization. So PeopleMatter, being a full talent management system, tracks the pay rates for each employee. So the number of hours times the pay rates equals the estimated cost for the week, which is a valuable piece of information, especially when just managing that from an expense perspective and also managing some of the upcoming constraints coming with the Affordable Care Act that we talked about earlier. And so as you scroll down the schedule, you can also see the number of hours that each person is working. So we can see here, for example, that Richard Alpert has 38 hours that he is being worked this week. And as well, the schedule is meant to be very, very visual and appealing to the eye. So shifts that are being worked are shown in a nice dark blue with obviously the hours that are being worked inside the box. Employees who work different jobs at the same location are shown in gray. So this young lady here, Lauren Harden, she is actually working 2 different jobs at the James Island location, and that is denoted on the schedule in gray. And also employees who work at 2 different locations also show up on the schedule as a shaded gray. So Finley James here on Tuesday, he's actually doing a 10 to 5 shift at the James Island location, and then a 6 to 8 location at a 6 to 8 shift at the King Street location. So PeopleMatter really comes to power for multi-unit organizations, especially when employees are used at multiple locations. These are some very, very useful features for those of you out there who have businesses like that. The schedule also has some easy-to-read icons. So a green calendar icon in the top right-hand corner means that this employee is available to work all day, whereas some employees are also only able to work part day. So it'll show the availability on the schedule. And as well, like I mentioned before, it is important with the Affordable Care Act to know when employees are going above certain hourly thresholds. So in this case, we have an hourly threshold set up for 40 hours. So I know when Elizabeth McCormick here is working over that 40-hour threshold, her entire schedule has turned red, which is very useful for me to see. And let's just toggle over to the day view as well. You can view everything you can view on the day view that you can view on the week view, but just for the day. So as you can see that Richard Alpert has a schedule from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then it's easily scrollable along. So it shows it as a nice, easy-to-read Gantt chart for all of the employees on the schedule. That's a brief shot of the day view of the schedule, and then just scrolling back to the week view. I mentioned earlier that one of the key tips when scheduling is being able to make it easy to create schedules. So PeopleMatter has done this. And there are 2 ways to create schedules. There's actually 3 ways. One, you can create it from scratch, but you can also copy existing schedules. So if I know that this schedule is a schedule that works for me, I can easily press copy. I can select some or all of the jobs on that schedule. I can then copy just the assigned team members and their shifts. I can copy just the shifts but no team members, or vice versa, the team members but not copy the shifts. So I'm going to copy the entire schedule because I know this one works really well, and I'm going to copy it out for a future week. So I see that the week of June 16th doesn't have a schedule assigned to it, so I'm going to select that week and I'm going to copy the schedule out. And of course it's asking me if I'm sure I want to do this, and I say yes, that is okay. And one final feature which is really, really cool, you'll notice down here at the bottom there is a Templates tab. So templates in PeopleMatter are templates of schedules that we know really, really work. So if I, as a manager of my restaurant, know that I found the magic schedule for a $20,000 week in sales, well, I can save that as a template. Or if I know that my hometown has homecoming week at the local university and it's just going to be slammed, and I have a schedule that I know works for that week, I can create a template for it, which I've done here. And creating templates is easy. Same thing as copy schedule. You just go into additional actions for the schedule, click on Save as Template, select some or all of the jobs that you want to create the template, and let's say I can create this as a 40K a week schedule. Creating a template is that easy. So with that, that is a good overview of PeopleMatter. Like I mentioned before, we just tried to show a few of the most important features. If you want to see more, just go to peoplematter.com and click Take the Tour, and you can also click Chat with us, and we'll be happy to set up a deeper dive demo on PeopleMatter Schedule.
Thanks, Ryan, DeAnn, and Mark. So we've gotten some great questions, and I'd like to answer some of those now. If you have a question to submit, there's still time. You just type the question into the questions box on your GoToWebinar panel. So Mark, I think the first question is for you. I know that you guys implemented Schedule within the past year. When you were doing the implementation, how did you get your employees into the Schedule system, and how does that work on an ongoing basis?
Well, for the employees that were hired through the PeopleMatter system, they automatically were loaded, right, from hire. And for our legacy employees, it was actually really simple. We were provided with a spreadsheet that we populated, and we were able to pull that information from our payroll system. It included names and employee numbers and rates of pay, that sort of thing. And then the PeopleMatter team integrated the information into the system for us. So it was actually pretty easy and seamless.
Great, thanks, Mark. Ryan, the next question is for you. With shift offers, how do you find out if the employee offering to take the shift will be over the maximum hours that you want them to work that week, for example, in overtime or whatever you've set as your maximum hours?
Cool. Okay, that's a really good question. So the answer is that is all in the manager's application, the manager's app. So when the manager goes to approve, they can see each volunteer's hours scheduled, and we also tell them how many total hours they would have if the shift offer was approved. Also, if they would hit over the 40-hour mark, it would appear in red and warn the manager, and then ask them again if they were really, really sure that they would want to approve the offer and put the person into overtime. So there are a lot of safeguards to prevent that from happening. And it's important to note that this is not only in the mobile app that the manager uses, but it's also in their corresponding web view as well. So it's back to that point of we try and duplicate whatever's available in the mobile app is also available inside the web view as well.
Great, thanks, Ryan. DeAnn, this next question is for you. So I know you guys have been using Schedule for a while, and so you've had some experience. Have there been any additional benefits to using the system that you didn't originally plan for or know about when you implemented PeopleMatter?
Yeah, you know, actually, we found with the hire system for sure, we found that not only have we improved our sourcing of applicants in terms of the number of applicants we're receiving, but some of our smaller locations that used to really struggle getting applicants at all are seeing a lot more, because I think when people go in, they automatically can see all of our locations and go, oh my gosh, there's one that's right by my house, or you know, something along those lines. So I think, you know, we've seen definitely an influx of applications at those smaller locations, and really the quality of applicants has increased as well at all of our locations. So that was definitely something we weren't planning for. And then the team members, you know, I've heard a lot of feedback about the mobile app and just the features they're able to access on there. When we first started with PeopleMatter, the mobile app wasn't quite as sophisticated as it is now, but our team has really leveraged that tool to improve our communication. It helps them separate like their work and their personal contacts in their phones. So kind of how like Ryan was saying, you know, if somebody joins the team or if somebody leaves the team, it's automatically updated, and it doesn't have to be, you know, them keying it into their own personal contact list. So yeah, I mean, I think our team has definitely appreciated that mobile app and the ability to just access their schedule from wherever.
Great, thanks, DeAnn. This next one's for you, Ryan. What do you do if your employee doesn't have a smartphone?
Oh, good question. Okay, so like we mentioned at the beginning, so roughly, you know, most people in the U.S. now have some kind of mobile phone. Typically, the numbers I've seen is about half half of those people have a smartphone, half don't. That number's obviously going up all the time, and it does, vary with certain demographics and certain markets. But for those employees that don't have a smartphone, PeopleMatter does have an answer. So we have a feature that's part of Schedule and included as part of Schedule. It's not an extra cost or anything. It's called D, and D is a voice-activated assistant. So it's very similar to how Siri works on the iPhone or some of the voice-activated features on the Android. You simply call into a number, and you can speak in normal English or Spanish, and D will answer your questions so questions can be like, when do I work next? And she'll tell you. You can book time off, you can trade shifts, and really do a lot of the features that you can do on the web and via the mobile app through D as well. So it's just another example of PeopleMatter is taking great pains to duplicate a lot of the features in a lot of the different channels. I didn't show D's functionality here on the webinar, but that is something we're happy to do for you during a customized demo. So to the individual who asked that question, we'll be happy to set up some time to show that to you directly.
That's great. So they can just call in from any phone.
They can, yes, any phone.
Awesome. So another question for you, Ryan. Is scheduling offered as a standalone option, or is it only bundled with your other applications?
It is offered as a standalone or bundled. PeopleMatter is very flexible that way. We don't try and constrain buyers down one path versus another. We definitely understand that when you're playing in the talent management space, you have different individuals involved from an organization. Some are HR driven, some are training driven, some are operations driven, and not everyone in an organization is always working at the same pace or ready for a certain level of change. So PeopleMatter is very flexible. You can start with Schedule and grow from there.
Okay, so we have time for 2 more questions. DeAnn or Marc, this one will be best for one of you. Maybe you want to take this, DeAnn, and Marc, maybe you can follow up. What has been the response from your team members once you've rolled out this new scheduling system? What have been their responses?
Yeah, so team members initially were, we had a couple stores that had been using Schedulefly before that, so for them it was, kind of just a switch of which system they were using, and I think they're excited about, the fact that it's integrated. But I think, the ones who hadn't been using online scheduling have just realized how easy it is to use the system. I mean, before it would be like they'd have to try to contact their manager, or maybe if he wasn't there, if it was he or she was busy that day, they couldn't communicate quite as easily. But with the mobile app and just the level of features that are on there, our team has been really excited, and most of our team members actually, I was surprised, but most of them have smartphones at this point. So it's just been really nice for them and for us to increase our communication. Marc?
Sure. To add to that, I think that our employees really appreciate the fact that we're willing to do something that helps them. In the past, schedules were kind of a burden. They'd have to come in on their day off or inconvenience someone, and they view this as being something that we did for them. So it's kind of a win-win. It helps the organization because we're more effective and more efficient, and it really helps the employee understand that we're doing things to try to make their work life that much better. So other than what DeAnn brought up, that's the thing that stands out to me the most.
Great, thanks guys. So this is the last question, and it's for Ryan. We give our locations a labor target in terms of dollars per week, and as long as they stay under that, we're happy. So does the PeopleMatter schedule, does it manage labor targeting?
Yes, it does. So that's a good question. So this is a setup function in Schedule, which is why I didn't show it during the shortened demo again. But this is definitely something we're able to talk to you about during with you on a one-on-one basis. So PeopleMatter Schedule is capable of assigning a labor target by day and then calculating the plan schedule in relation to that target. So this is like I mentioned, since this is a challenging thing to show in a shortened demo like today, definitely give us a call or drop us a line on our website, and we'll arrange a demonstration for you of this feature.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, we've run out of time. You all have sent in some great questions, and unfortunately we didn't get to a few of them. So we will follow up with any of you directly who didn't have your question answered to make sure that your question does get answered. As a reminder, this webinar is recorded and will be available on our website in the next 24 hours. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope you'll be back for another PeopleMatter webinar. Have a great day.